lot of you will become addicted to the program, overly addicted, to the point where you can't live without it. Couldn't even fathom or imagine life without it. But the thing is, you don't even know that a program exists. You think you're doing what you want to do. You think your likes are your likes. You think your interests are really your interests. You're programmed to have those likes. You're programmed to have those interests. You're programmed to want to live the American dream. You're programmed to want a piece of the pie. You're programmed to want to live that life that everyone else is living. You're programmed to want to live a certain type of lifestyle, to follow trends, to do as everybody else does, even if it's following them in error. You have fools following fools. See, information is only as credible as its source. See, a lot of you are following incredible sources. You're listening to people, you're following people, you're taking advice from people that have no real knowledge. They have no real light. They have no original thought. They have no unique ideal. They have no uniqueness whatsoever. They're doing what they've been taught to do, what you're told that you should do from the time that you're ushered into the school systems. When the programming begins, this is when all of this is set. Your wants, your desires. See, your desires create your wants. See, this is where they manipulate what you value, and then that dictates what you desire. So to want to live a certain type of lifestyle, so when I say that it's a program, in the time that you were young and you were put into those systems and they taught a certain thing and told you when you grow up that you're supposed to do this, 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 and this to achieve this, 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 and this. And this is what life is. This is what living is. This is what being successful is. That's when the program was set in place, and that is the manipulation factor that has to be addressed, that has to be reevaluated. See, in order to deprogram, you have to go back and you have to dissect all of that and pick it apart. And then you have to really ask yourself, your true self, is this really aligned with what my true purpose is, what my soul purpose is? Or am I lost in the illusion? Have I become addicted to systematic programming? Have I become addicted to a fantasy that I think is a reality that I'm trying to carry out? See, it was Buddha that said that people suffer because they want things that they can't have, things that they don't need. You have to learn to control your desires. You have to learn to control what you value. But when you value things that have no true worth, then you're motivated towards a bunch of worthless things, and you desire a bunch of worthless things, and then this causes internal stress. This causes a disconnect. The disconnect between the spirit and the soul. The unalignment of the spirit and the soul. You mistake your soul purpose for a physical purpose and for physical ambition. It has nothing to do with anything spiritual. It has nothing to do with evolution or evolving, with ascending, with gathering information from the experience and taking it back to the source. It has nothing to do with that. A lot of it is people who are lost, and they think that they're headed in the right direction, but they're really headed in the wrong direction. But it's like if somebody took a road sign and flipped it to the left when it was really pointed to the right. If you're looking for these signs, these physical signs, you don't have any intuition, you don't have any inner guidance, then you easily get taken off course. You easily are led in the wrong direction because you don't have any true insight, any inner sight guiding you, leading you, putting you in the right direction, pointing you in the right direction, giving you this intuition, this sense that something's not right. This isn't adding up. I think I'm off course. See, but what happens is a lot of times people know better, but they choose not to do better. And like I said, it's easier to follow the program than it is to deprogram and to reprogram. So you'll have individuals who know better, but they'll play stupid. And then they'll make themselves even more comfortable with playing stupid by surrounding themselves around dummies, people who don't know anything or don't know any better. See, the difference between a stupid person and a dumb person is that a stupid person knows better, but they pretend to not know better. A dumb person or a dummy or someone that's dumb, they just don't know. So they can't give you any true direction. They can't give you any true guidance because they're not in the know. And for people who don't want to put the work in to deprogram and reprogram, recourse and get on the right path and head in the right direction, they'll gravitate towards dummies. And these dummies will co-sign their insanity. They'll pacify their fantasies, their illusions, and their delusional behavior. A lot of this is a self-sabotage tactic. Some people do it intentionally and some do it unintentionally. But regardless, it's still being done and corrective action needs to be taken. But see, first, you have to accept the error in your ways. You can't be in denial. Denial itself is a hell of a drug and a hell of an addiction to overcome. You have to be true to yourself. You have to be honest to yourself if you know better. If deep down inside you know better, do better. Even if it takes more work. Even if it's harder to be an individual. Even if it's harder to go in the opposite direction. To do the opposite of what the masses are doing. You have to push yourself. Because if not, you're only going to lead yourself to more suffering. You're going to cause yourself to suffer in the long run. You're going to experience a lot of disease, a lot of dis-ease and discomfort, a lot of stress, a lot of worry. And a lot of this is going to sit heavy on your shoulders. This is why you see a lot of people with the hunchback. They get older and they start to hunch over and hunch down. That's because stress sits on your shoulders and it starts to wear them down. They can't bear the weight of their ignorance or the compilation of stupidity that they've allowed to accumulate over the years. They should have dumped it off. They should have disregarded it in order to lighten the load. But they chose not to do so because they thought it would be easier to carry that. But it actually would have been easier to let it go in the long run. But see, either you have short vision or long vision. Either nearsighted, farsighted. Either you're looking at things short term or you're looking at things long term. How far down the line are you looking? You only think as far as you see. You only see as far as you think. How far ahead do you think? Because depending on that, that's where your sight will end up. That's where your sight will be. What do you envision? Do you have short-term vision or do you have long-term vision? Are you analyzing the whole picture or are you looking at it partially? Are you setting yourself up for failure? Or are you setting yourself up for success? And success, true success, is doing right by yourself. Doing right by your spirit. Carrying out and fulfilling your soul purpose. The reason why you came here. The reason why you came here to experience. It wasn't to fall in love with the experience and to get so attached that you can't let go. It wasn't to fall in love with ignorance, to fall in love with being foolish. It was to experience these things so you can acquire the experience, the wisdom, and grow from it to further your evolution, not to keep you stagnant. Not to add on to your de-evolution. Sometimes you have to move backwards in order to move forward. But you have to be conscious of that, and you have to be conscientious. Meaning you have to apply what you know. Just knowing it isn't good enough. Just being conscious of something isn't good enough. You have to be conscientious. You have to take the proper course of action. It's like I said, it may seem difficult in the beginning, but it gets easier as it goes along. You didn't come here for it to be easy. Part of it is a challenge that you agreed to. This is what you signed up for. It's part of the reason why you came. So with knowing that, you have to apply that. You have to watch your surroundings and the people you're positioning yourself around. The people that you allow into your circle and the circles that you allow yourself to enter into. Is it something that will lessen you, or is it something that will make you greater? You know, you have to be in control of your energy. You have to be in control of your actions. But see, a lot of this, it all has to do with, you know, being your own person, being an individual, being who you were uniquely designed to be. You weren't designed to be like everybody else and to do as everybody else does. What works for them may not work for you. Your situation and your scenario may not even be the same as theirs. So to try and apply their logic to yours or their perception of yours may not work. It most likely won't work because it's unrelatable. See, you got to find complements, not opposing forces or opposing energies. You have to find energies that complements your energy, not energies that opposes your energy. You know, if you have a certain culture, you deal with those who live the same or similar culture. Not somebody or someone who lives in opposing culture. You can't take advice from them or live your life based on their perspective or their point of view or their perception. See, that's how cultural confusion takes place. That's how you end up spiritually disconnected. And especially now when you got like a lot of artificial people floating around, a lot of synthetic people, a lot of soulless people floating around. And if you're not one of them, following behind them, doing as they do, it's not a good look for you. It's not going to lead you anywhere but to destruction. Because their purpose and your purpose is two different things. If you're a spiritual being that came to have a physical experience, and then you're trying to model after or imitate or emulate beings who are physical and they're trying to have a spiritual experience, you're headed for self-destruction. What does that mean? Those with soul should not be modeling after those who are soulless. Those who come from a certain culture need to maintain cultural integrity. Not allow yourself to be imposed on by outside cultures or foreign cultures, allowing them to influence and dictate your thoughts and your actions. It's foolishness. That's the result of identity crisis. Cultural confusion leads to identity crisis. You don't know who you are. You don't know who you are spiritually, and then you don't know where to go physically because you've been disconnected. Now you're going against the divine nature of yourself. And sadly, you don't even know your divine nature. You don't even know yourself. And to know thyself only means to know thy soul. See, that's what it means when people say go within and, tap in and the answers are within. What they're talking about is getting to know your soul. Tapping in the soul intellect. Being able to access Akashic records. Soul memory. Basically, and it's you being able to connect to who you truly are. So basically, the physical, the vehicle, when it needs to, same way a person with a car may call OnStar, or a person with a phone may ask Siri, ask your soul. That's where all of that is modeled from. All of that is an imitation, a generic synthetic form of the communication that takes place between the soul and the body. The divine source, or the divine intellect, the divine intelligence in the vehicle, the body, and the communication that takes place between the two. How is this information relayed? By way of spirit. So when you have a spiritual disconnect, you don't hear your soul. You're so far away from it, you can't hear it talking to you. There is no true intuition. You're deaf to who and what you really are. So now you don't know how to function. You don't know how to maneuver. What does that mean? That you lack knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Because you don't know what. Because you don't know how. And because you don't know why. You don't know what your purpose is. You don't know how to fulfill your purpose. And you don't know why you're here. You don't know what your purpose is. You don't know how to achieve and fulfill that purpose. That's what that means. It means you don't know how you work. You don't know how your body works. You don't know how your vehicle works. You don't know the purpose of your vehicle and the purpose of having a working vehicle. You don't know why you have a vehicle. That is the result of the disconnect. And this is why a lot of things don't resonate with certain people, because they're so detached. The spirit is so far detached. It's so far. The distance between the spirit and the soul is such of a great distance that you don't hear it. You don't feel it. It doesn't stick with you. You don't have a aha. You don't have those moments because your soul isn't talking to you. Or if it's talking, you're deaf. You can't hear it. If it's trying to tap you to wake you up, you can't feel it. A lot of people get lost in the illusion. They fall in love with it. Fall in love with the program because they don't know they don't know any other way. A lot of people don't trust the new information that they're learning. So when they're faced with certain situations, they resort back to the old methods, that old broken model that's put them and those who came before them in the situations that they're in, and that keeps this constant cycle repeating. At some point, you have to want to do different. You have to want to go better. But it's not meant for everybody to get it this go round. Some of you, you have to try a few times before you get it. It's like a video game, It'll take multiple attempts before you complete each board, complete each level, complete each stage, and beat that game, master that game. So keep working at it. You'll get there eventually. Might not be your time. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But that's something that you have to figure out. I can't tell you which way to go. I can't tell you, what your direction should be. I mean, I can make suggestions. I can tell you based upon my experiences what may work for you, what may help you get closer to achieving those things or being able to reach your destination. But ultimately, that's up to you to get there. I can show you the door, but it's up to you to walk through it. I can lead you to knowledge, but it's up to you to think for yourself. I can drop all the jewelry, but it's up to you to pick up that jewelry. And then what you decide to do with it, that's your choice. It's cause and effect. And that's your outcome.